We got the majority of people. I'm going to try to run this meeting by sharing my screen rather than my pretty face, if you don't mind. I can hopefully give you more information that way, so bear with me.
I don't have to be on screen.
You don't have what?
I don't have to be on the screen. I'm so used to it for all my other meetings.
Well, you could shut your video off if you want.
Yeah, I guess I can.
Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
these are kind of my notes and some displays for you to see. And I wanted to just go quickly through some of the agenda items that I had listed, starting with the budget process. Usually the budget process doesn't really involve the public or even the financial advisors that we have on our finance committee until late in the year. In 2021, for the 2021 budget, for example, the recommended budget was presented in mid-October. That's 2020, not 2021. Sorry, I got to correct that. So that's pretty late. And really, the public was not privy to the draft of that budget until the budget was hung, it's called, on October 19th, 2020. So I had posted some of it here. I got into a little bit of trouble for even having this amount of information posted before the meeting. But, you know, that's me. So many people, including myself, were very upset with the process, let's say, because it was at the time, I'm omitting Ken here, welcome Ken, hi. At the time that by the time the budget presentation was made in late October, you know, the impression was that this is already like a done deal and it's going to be very difficult to make significant changes. It sounded like we were going to make minor changes. And the public really wasn't aware of all of this until very late in the game. So in early 2021, the Finance Committee proposed a revised township budgeting process. I don't want to go into that in detail, but it included a number of opportunities for both the people on the Finance Committee and the public to see the draft budget much earlier in the process, even as early as July. Now, there are some technical problems with that in terms of getting actual real numbers. And I won't have to get into that right now, but they also suggested that by the end of August, highlights of the budget should be or could be released to the public instead of in October. And then after input from advisors and the public, there would be plenty of time to adjust the budget prior to officially hanging the budget, which means making it public, the final budget, by the end of October. Now, I'm not sure, you know, how this process works. There are rules and regulations about notifying the public of things like this. And but what I found out was that Doyle's Township is already has held several budget work sessions. The last one was on June 15th. And you can see from this tweet that they did that they were going to hold this meeting and the public was invited. And this was, I think, the second meeting they had. I didn't stick around to hear the whole workshop, but just a half hour. But during that time, you know, I think people from the Public Works Department made a presentation about all the roads in Doylestown, and they, they divided them up into which roads really needed work very soon, which roads could wait a while, and which roads were recently done. And then there was a very comprehensive idea of what might need to be done in the coming year, some rough estimates of costs involved, and the public and the Board of Supervisors had an opportunity to ask questions in public. Now, what we went through with the supervisors with our town manager is the town manager would talk to each individual supervisor prior to October, in the summer, about some of the items he wanted to put on in the budget and so forth and so on. The problem with that is, we're a 5-member team, and sometimes it's better for me, at least, to hear what the opinions are from other supervisors about maybe some line items and so on, rather than each of us, giving his or her ideas in private. So basically, I think that process could be more public. So what I was hoping, and I hope, is that the department heads could come before the board at the public meetings, like in Doylestown, beginning now, to give us an idea of what their needs are for the next year. And I think Kyle Davis at a last public meeting asked that the budget process begin sooner than later. It just sort of remains to be seen how we can do that. I don't, if you have ideas, I'd be willing to hear them. But that's what I had to say about starting the budget process earlier. Any questions or comments regarding that? Steve?
It sounds like a good idea, John. I like your idea. And it's not, I think it's as much about finding efficiencies as it is about, new spending priorities. It seems like the priorities of the township manager is always like, how can we spend more money instead of finding efficiencies? And I think there needs to be more of a focus on finding efficiencies and limiting spending, as opposed to how much can we increase spending and increase taxes and making everything just bigger and bigger and bigger and costing all of us more money.
Well, everybody's always looking for efficiencies, and I know probably a lot of time in the past has been spent on that. But for example, repaving the roads, where can you get more efficiency there? I'm not sure. Right now, our road program is only repairing 1.5 miles of roads this year. And we really need to do 4 or 5 miles every year. So we can continue to spend less money on road work, but then, you're going to have more problems with the roads.
Yeah,
things,
I can definitely see an argument for, road work. But I think there's other areas that, in terms of like personnel, and we keep adding more and more personnel to the government, and there's seems to be more and more extraneous spending on things that I don't think are necessary, or like nice to haves rather than absolutes. Like I think road work is an absolute, but we're spending a lot of money on things that are like nice to haves. I think that is excessive, and I think we need to put the township manager in a position where he has to cut things, cut existing spending. There was not a single cut to that budget from the previous year's spending, not a single cut. And we had an $800,000 deficit, and we ended up spending, not only did we end up spending the same amount, we spent another $2 million on top of that, which was insane. And as a result, we got a big tax increase. And I think we need to make him focus more on finding efficiencies and keeping taxes low in this township, as opposed to, seeing how much we can spend.
Well, that's why it's great to have public input and
Mhm.
maybe some ideas from the public about exactly what needs to be more efficient.
Mhm.
I don't know, if you have all the information you might need to come up with those ideas, but
True, that's very true, John. Like, for example, this, this amount of money, I guess we get what, 900,000 from Wrightstown to provide police protection to Wrightstown. And I asked this before, it's like, well, are we making money on this? Are we breaking even? Are we losing money? And nobody could provide that information, including you. So you guys are voting for these contracts, and yet you don't know what the value of it is. You know what I mean? Is this a good value? Is it a value proposition for us, or is it not? Is it costing us money? I know it's costing us more per call to do calls in Wrightstown. I'm sorry, it's costing us more for calls in Newtown than it does in Wrightstown, right? They're paying like half of what we pay per call. So we need that information, right? So if we can get that information by doing these meetings sooner, I think that's a good thing. So I definitely support your idea.
yeah, I did that analysis a while back and didn't get me anywhere when I suggested
Not surprised.
we needed to increase maybe that charge to Wrightstown.
Mhm.
But you can get that data. I mean, every month the chief makes a report on the number of calls.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if it's always released publicly. It
Mhm.
is public information, though. I've sometimes reported on it in my blog about what percentage, and usually it's about 17% of the calls are in Wrightstown.
Oh,
And not only do you have to travel further to Wrightstown to answer a call.
sure.
Costs more in gas and wear and tear on the cars, etc.
Mhm. So again, the question is it in our best interest to provide this service? Should we be in the business of providing police protection for neighboring townships? Is that the best
Well-
thing for our township? Does that cost us money, or does that make us money? Is it good business? I mean, like, because in effect, we're in the business of providing police protection for other townships.
I don't
And
think it
it's a good
costs
value
us money.
proposition, then let's keep doing it. If we're not making money doing it, if it's costing us money costing us money as Newtown Township citizens, then we should get the hell out of the business and cut personnel and shrink things. Because why should we be subsidizing their police protection? No?
Well, I don't think it's costing us money, but
Okay.
um,
But we
and,
don't know that.
you also got to look at it this way. I mean, we could talk about these individual things. I don't want to get too
Okay.
much into this. We can do this aside somewhere.
Oh,
But I did an analysis of police departments, how many members per 1,000 residents, that sort of thing. And Newtown is really low down on that scale, if you look at it that way.
okay.
So I don't think we have too many police officers. But as I said, let's maybe we can move on unless somebody else has some other questions.
Okay. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to dominate.
No. I mean, we can talk separately about that, Steve.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right.
So can you hear me?
Yes, Andrea.
Yeah. So what you're proposing, John, is to speak to individual departments to find out what they like, what their budget priority is, and then come back with a report of some sort.
Well, yeah, usually, if say the Public Works Department, has some problems with its equipment,
Right.
that sort of thing,
Right.
they would, we would want to know about that, and, make the budget adjustments accordingly if it's something that's really appropriate.
Right.
But we need to have the information, and I think that information should be shared with the public, because oftentimes the public is not aware of what, all the things that the Public Works Department does, for example.
Right, but I really think it's a good idea to get all of them together so you could put together a comprehensive budget that is knowledge-based rather than proposed-based, you know what I'm saying? Coming from a knowledge base, like you were saying, like must-have, a must-have rather than a wish list.
Well, right now, the township manager does speak with all the department heads and ask them, what they need. I mean, basically, the way I looked at it in the past year was, oh man, these people came up with their wish lists,
Right,
and it wasn't debated in the public.
Mhm.
right,
And that's what I would like to see, basically. I mean,
Okay.
if you're gonna have a wish list, let's open it up to the public and let's debate it and see
Right.
what comes out of it. I mean,
right. So making them more accountable, to
Yeah.
us, right. Okay, that's a good idea.
well, that's my idea anyway. I don't know
Okay,
if I'm gonna get the other supervisors to agree to that.
okay.
With public support, you'd be surprised what you can do.
Right.
All right, I just want to move on. The other thing that was a big topic is the Arcadia and Wawa. So I don't know if everybody's aware, but the next stage for Arcadia is the submission of their final land development plan, which they submitted in April. And as you notice on this plan here, I guess there are 60 homes, each with the average price of $650,000. This is from the developer, this data. And if you notice here, this is the road that goes, this road would go out to Buck Road here. Remember that?
Right,
Yes.
But then it has an option to go out to the bypass. This would be the bypass over here. So they put in an option, and you can't read it, but it says pending PennDOT approval. Now, this is interesting because there's local officials in PennDOT, and one of them is a real stickler for not having
Mhm.
this kind of access.
Yeah.
So how do you put pressure on PennDOT to allow this? I don't know. If you have ideas, but what I talked to the developer, I forget his name, what's his, Duckworth? Mr. Duckworth. After the residents had made a lot of noise and petitions about this, I said, how could we get the residents more involved in this process, especially in talking with PennDOT? And he said that that might be possible. And what I need to do is really check up and see if he's really contacted some residents or representatives of the residents in that area to involve them in that process. So at least, we can get some pressure put on PennDOT maybe.
Well, are you saying that you really think it's a great idea and you like the access and all that?
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing.
Well, I don't know.
Why would we want to put pressure on PennDOT? We want safety.
Mhm. Yeah, I was wondering the same thing. Is it a good idea to have access onto the bypass?
No,
It seems like that would be more dangerous.
I don't know. It depends on the plan that they have in mind. It looks like they have a dedicated lane
Mhm.
that would be, allow people to merge after the light, I guess.
Oh,
I don't know all the details of the plan. So this is going to be reviewed by the Newtown Planning Commission at a public meeting on August 3rd, I think,
okay.
scheduled. You should, and then after that, it comes to the Board of Supervisors on August 11th. I mean, that's the schedule that I've seen.
Mhm.
well, when does the Board of Transportation, when does Department of Transportation get involved? When do they study it?
I'm not sure. they may be looking at that right now, for all I know.
So, John, how can, I don't understand, how can they go, I know this is an old question, how can they go forward when they don't know like what the actual plan is? It seems preposterous to me.
Yes.
Well, they know what this plan is, to build a
Well,
house.
okay, but if they don't get the exit, the egress onto the bypass,
Well, then they're
the
gonna
same
stick with,
place we've been for the last 12 years, they're gonna come
Yep.
out.
on Buck Road, yeah.
Yeah. And is that going to be okay? That's going to be okay now?
It's wasn't my idea of how they should do it, but there were other alternatives that were shot down by the residents. For example, coming out to Mill Pond Road somewhere.
Oh, we don't want that. The people in,
Right, so residents don't want that. There was another plan going out this way to a cul-de-sac here. which
yeah, that would be right by my house. They want the road become in front of my house.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Yeah. But
Yeah.
that was,
But they didn't think so.
well, no, that was a red
I
herring.
don't live
Because
here.
so now this new plan looks better. Oh, because it's not as stupid as that plan was. But this is by comparison, it looks better. But I think that was just a bait and switch thing.
Yeah.
Could Buck Road really support this?
No,
PennDOT thinks so. I mean, PennDOT was most in favor of this plan here. Of course, that wouldn't work. And then they said, well, if that doesn't work, we're perfectly fine with this plan going out to Buck Road and making a U-turn.
Wow.
Perfectly,
Oh,
perfectly
I
okay
don't
with
think
PennDOT.
that's terrible.
they ought to study it, really study it.
Right.
Well, so, I don't know how negotiations go with PennDOT on things like this. I don't know if they're public meetings or not, I have to get in contact with some of the residents who have a
Buck
skin in
Road.
the game.
Buck Road gets really backed up.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Rush hour is unbelievable.
Yeah. This is crazy.
and now you're
Wow.
going to have people. Not only they're going to be making a U-turn, they're going to try to go straight across. There's
Right.
no way.
Yeah. That's true.
Both ways, coming in and going out. I mean, we've been talking
Right.
about this for years. I don't. This frustrates me to no end. How this all happened.
Are they going to be able to go straight across? I don't
Yeah,
know.
they're going to. Well, they're going to try. They're probably not supposed to, but I mean, I've seen people do it now. They come out of that thing and they just make out of that little road, and they make a left-hand turn onto Buck Road.
I have to
Yeah.
see
Going
what
across
they-
whatever it is, 4 lanes of traffic, and they do it the other way too. Coming up Buck Road, they make a left,
left.
in.
I went
And
to a yard sale there. That house is going to be knocked down, way back behind the church. And I had to go all the way around to go in so I could make a right turn to go in there.
Yeah, right, yeah, right. I mean, that's the only, halfway safe thing. But
Oh,
people
yeah.
are not. People are not going to be doing that. People are going to, this is. I mean, this is all water under the bridge. But I mean, it just makes me so angry.
Well, I hope people will attend the the planning commission meeting. By the way, all the meetings now, public meetings are going to be live, no more Zoom. And I'm going to talk about that later, but the public hardly ever shows up at some of these planning commission meetings, but they're very interesting. They ask a lot of these kinds of questions, and it's an opportunity to get some answers to those questions, even for me. So there's other documents related to this land development plan, and I believe those are public documents that you could ask for through Micah Lewis, who is our right to know officer. And but let me know if you're trying to find some more information. I'll see if I can help you there. Any other comments about Arcadia? Okay. Wawa. How do you feel about Wawa? Steve's a big fan of Wawa. He's going
I'm not opposed to Wawa, and I think we need one in Newtown. However, is the location the best? Perhaps not. Do I support all the variances? No. So while I do want a Wawa, I don't think we should grant them all the variances they want. If they can build it within our codes, then fine. If not, then I think they should find another location.
Yeah, well, they're fighting tooth and nail to get those variances. One is, the signage, and they're claiming this sign does not face the bypass.
Yes.
All these technicalities and nuances of wording, they're using every bit of it.
Yeah.
This sign here does face the highway. So the spent quite a bit of time because there's a canopy in front of this.
Yes.
So can this sign be seen from the bypass? If it can be seen, it's not really allowed, but they're still asking variances for that.
Yes.
They're asking variances for
The number of pumps, right?
number of pumps. Now they're allowed 6 within 5 acres. They're claiming they got 4.94 acres or whatever the heck it is. And therefore they should be able to add another pump because that's allowed if it's over 5 acres. So they say, well, this is the de minimis request, but what's going to happen is if they get that 1 extra pump, they're going to want the second extra pump to make it an even 8. For a reason, I don't know why you need even number of pumps, but there it is. And, one resident came up with this, he looked at the plan and he said, there's a road in that acreage there that takes up some significant percentage of acreage. And now that lowers it below the 4.9, whatever.
Oh.
So it's going to be an interesting conversation, and that's going to be happening, continued, the hearing, on July 8th. Now, this is before the zoning hearing board. And this, again, is a live in-person meeting. The problem with the zoning hearing board is they don't like to hear comments from the public during a hearing because you are not a party to the case. It's like you're in court. The people in the court cannot ask questions. Only, the lawyers representing the parties of the case. So,
Sure.
But I don't know, maybe you can come in with signs. I don't know. But anyway, that's what's going to be happening August 8th. I'd be interested to see where this goes. Of course, I did oppose, first of all, the changing of the zoning to allow it in the first place. And as you know, all 5 supervisors opposed the variances, all the variances. And that's why we're having this case before the zoning hearing board and spending money on legal representation, which I hope is okay with you, Steve, even though you
I guess it's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
You have to have legal representation if you're going to do it. So.
Yep. And they're making a good argument. So far, I like what they're doing. Any other questions about that?
No.
Okay. The Lower Dolington Road Trail, that's in my neighborhood here. I've been in the process of at least 2 years. And the next step was supposed to put this out to bid. We use a bidding website called PenBid, where there's lots of contractors. That's where they go to find municipal bids. But to date, hasn't been put out there to bid yet. And, I'm trying to figure out when that's going to happen. Hopefully it will be soon. And this project can begin before it's too late.
Mhm.
So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
Any questions on that?
No,
Okay, COVID relief money. Let me just switch over to my survey. If I can find it. This is this relief money that we're supposed to get is about, well, $1.9 million over 2 years. Half of it this year and half next year. I don't know if we've gotten it yet, but what happens when we do get it is we put it into a special account, and the money can only be used for certain things. And that's what this survey is asking people in terms of those permitted uses for this money. What do people think this money can be used for? So I'm looking at just the Newtown residents here, of which there were 422 responses. And this is basically the results. If it's in red, that means they don't like it. They don't support the spending, for example, on infrastructure like drinking water. But drinking water and stormwater and sewer management gets big, high level of support, which is in green. The second highest would be another infrastructure investment in roads and bridges. Now, this is interesting because in the first go around, we're getting advice from the Pennsylvania State Association of Township Supervisors. They're trying to give us advice of what is permitted and what is not. And at first they were saying you can't use it on roads and bridges, but then they started to say, well, maybe you can. So hopefully we can. The third most popular one was a lost revenue, but replacement. I don't know exactly what that means. If, for example, it might mean earned income tax. If businesses weren't doing well during the COVID, obviously they had laid people off or put them on furlough and not making salary, and then we can't collect earned income tax from that. But what really happened was most of the people who worked in Philadelphia are working at home in Newtown, and therefore they were subject to Newtown. Their salary was subject to Newtown earned income tax. So we actually made, I think, more money in earned income tax than in previous years. But the problem with this whole thing is this money is to be spent only on COVID-related things as of March 9th or something like that of this year, not past, not going backwards, going forwards. So I'm not quite sure how this money will actually be spent. Now here's one I'm kind of interested in. It says construction for a larger meeting space and/or technology for meetings. I want the township to improve this technology that it uses for public meetings. I am extremely embarrassed by our technology. Steve, I gotta say this because
I agree.
I think we spent $25,000 on some new system, including new microphones.
Oh,
But if you go to the zoning hearing board meeting or the planning commission meeting and sit in that room, those speakers don't work with the microphones.
oh, wow. Did not know that.
The speakers only come on during Board of Supervisors meetings that are transmitted to cable TV for some reason or another. Like I'm an old guy. If I'm sitting even in the middle of the room, it's hard for me to hear these people, especially the lawyers. who I suspect of talking very low so you can't hear them. I'm serious. So I would like to see better use of technology, and I would like to see continued use of, technology like Zoom to enable
Yeah.
people who cannot attend the public meeting in person to be able at least to attend via Zoom. Now that's going to be another battle, but
Oh, it's a shame. That's because that's a great idea.
well, I got another survey about that, but I'll
Yeah,
wait
I
till
participated in that one too.
I'll wait until the next.
I do all your
meeting.
surveys, John.
Too many surveys.
No, it's a good idea.
Some people don't believe in surveys, but I really do anyway.
Well, they think they know better than everybody, you know.
Yeah, I know. Replacement, maintain township parks impacted to COVID-19. Well, I don't know, not too much support for that. And the least amount of support is premium pay for essential workers. There you go, Steve.
You know, we'd all like more money for what we do, but
Yeah, I mean,
let's give anybody more money just, for the fact that they worked,
there's already
Glad
talk.
you had a job, I mean, you had a job you could go to and get paid for. I mean, to me, that's
Yeah,
huge.
well, there's some jobs.
And you
People,
did lose your job, a lot of people did.
there's some jobs that people don't get paid for, like the Newtown Fire Association, the volunteer firefighters.
Uh,
They do not get paid, obviously, and maybe some of the money can be used to help support them. I don't know, but
yeah, if it supports the firehouse, I could see that. But if you're gonna start paying them when things are bad, then when things are good, they're gonna expect to get paid too. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Well,
Again,
the whole our consultants that we hired for $20,000 or more have suggested that we need to move to a full-time paid fire service.
oh, Jesus.
And our fire chief has put in for a grant to cover the hiring of 3 new full-time firefighters for 3 years. Because of COVID-19, that grant would cover it if we get it.
Okay.
But for 3 years only. After that, we would have to pay them. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but
Yeah.
still in the works. And as far as the Public Works Department, I wanted to show you something from our new Director of Public Works. They're putting in a grant for up to $25,000. A grant was provided by Giant Food Company. It's called Healing the Planet Grant Program. And specifically, there's no matching funds required, okay? So she says the department will focus on dead tree cut down and trail mobility in Clark Nature Center. The trails and that center have been closed down for 4 to 5 years because of the insect that kills ash trees. And those,
Yeah, Emerald ash borer.
right.
Yeah.
And this company here that provides insurance says you have to shut it down because it's unsafe.
Oh.
But, I went through there and, what's going to happen is they're going to reevaluate how unsafe it is because lots of the trees have already fallen.
Yeah, true.
And lots of the dead trees are nowhere near the trails. So if they fall, would anybody hear them? I don't know. But so that's something that may happen. Hopefully they're going to at least apply for it. So that's the these relief funds. It's going to be a battle. Who is going to get that money? And the last thing I just wanted to talk about was the public hearings. And let me show you some results for that. First of all, public hearings, what I was asking people really is, I don't want necessarily, say, the Board of Supervisors meeting. I don't want the Board of Supervisors to attend by Zoom. Say I just don't feel like going out, and I don't want to go out. I want to attend by Zoom. Now, that's perfectly allowable, I've heard from our state association. But my main concern is residents. We found that, I think on average, more residents have been attending these meetings via Zoom than ever came to a public meeting. And that's because, people are busy, they have families, they're older, but, we keep on hearing, I keep on hearing, well, if they're not interested in coming, then we shouldn't bother with them. That's not my attitude at all. So
Good.
I'd like to see us develop that ability. And here's what people thought. Again, we're going to be looking only at Newtown. Now, this survey just started, so there's only 29 people who have answered this, but 72% say yes, 21% say no, and some are not sure. So there's an overwhelming majority so far that would like to see that kind of hybrid type of meeting where you could attend in person or attend by Zoom. And hopefully the township's technology advisors can figure out how to do that, because Doylestown does it, Middletown does it, maybe even Newtown Borough does it. Why can't we?
True.
Steve, this is what I look at. I'm very ashamed.
No, I agree with you completely, John. I think it's a great idea.
When I see this being done in our neighboring townships,
Yes.
but you know what? They also pay more taxes, I'm sorry to say. Anyway, I think that's covers about everything that I wanted to talk about. I have my upcoming meetings page. You should take a look at this. I have how to find information about meetings on our website. It's a very useful guide there. If you have other things that you have problems with the township website, you'd like me to come up with a lesson like this, let me know. There's a finance committee tomorrow. Now, what I've decided to do is I've decided to try my own hybrid meeting. I'm going to bring my iPad to this meeting. I'm going to have an adjunct Zoom meeting.
Nice.
It's not official. You're not going to be able to talk to the committee, but you'll be able to see them and hear them, and I will record that meeting. Otherwise, the meeting is not recorded. So that's what you
Zoom.
That's what you lose when you don't have Zoom.
Yeah.
You lose these nice recordings in case you missed the meeting.
Uh-huh.
And they're going to be talking about a few things. As you know, this is Pride Month, and the Newtown Township Human Relations Commission and Bucks County Community College will be having a Zoom meeting. I will talk on there about our resolution that we passed, Love is Love resolution. I think it was March 2020. Steve Sanacero will be there. He's trying to get legislation passed at the state level. And this is the zoning hearing board that I mentioned.
Okay.
Now you see here the Zoom meetings that are all recorded. Past meetings.
That's fantastic.
Can I say something?
Yes, Allison.
The Zoom meetings could, I'm wondering if there is any kind of boundaries, because, some people might filibuster or something, then they go on and on. It's easier to do that when you're in your home and you're on Zoom, if there could be some kind of framework set up for that, if it's necessary.
Well, I can mute you right now.
Yeah, right. Well,
It's up to the person running the meeting, and we really haven't had that problem. We only had a
but
problem.
you haven't had huge amounts of, if there are a lot of people on Zoom.
Yes, we had.
Have
At one of the Arcadia meetings, I think, or one of the meetings, there were like 90 participants.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we've had 25 up to, on average,
Well,
about
that's
20, 25 people.
Yeah, and not everyone speaks anyway.
Right.
Very few actually speak.
Yeah.
Like Elaine. Elaine hasn't spoken. Hi, Elaine. Elaine is on our environmental advisory council.
Hi. Believe me, don't get me started. I have a lot to say, but I was driving through the village. I didn't think it was a good thing. And my son kept saying, Ma, stop. I'm looking at the video. I'll type it in. I'll text you, John.
All right.
Now I'm
Okay.
sitting in front of his apartment, so that's why I'm staying in one spot till you finish. So.
All right. So anything else that I can help anybody with that are?
I just have one question. When you were talking about the COVID, and it could be used for infrastructure possibly, and you were talking about the roads, could it be justified that during COVID, the infrastructure could not be worked on and we could not have the workers? Could somehow it be, somehow justified? And what do you actually mean by infrastructure other than roads?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, obviously infrastructure and the communications also, they talked
Right, and the
about,
communications, right.
they talked about broadband access, things like that. But as I said, the money can only be used if there's an impact going forward from March 2021.
Oh, so it's now, it's like just from a couple of months ago.
Right. And so it might be
point.
difficult to make an argument that, we have some creative people, we might be able to come up with, a way to do that. It remains to be seen. It'd be interesting discussions, and I hope a lot more people can participate in those discussions one way or another, because significant amount of money.
Right.
It is.
I'm going to stop my screen sharing so you can see my pretty face. Do you want to see anything else? No? All right, here I am. Any other questions,
I
comments?
have one question. I have just a quick question. So when I was driving, I saw that you put up the Arcadia. Is it possible to get, I was at a light actually looking. Is it possible to get that map? Because I would love to drive it, go over there. Because I saw that, here, Steve would be more impacted on that. So I just want to know, I'm getting to understand where everything is in the township. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, you could drive in there. There's
That's what I'm
nothing
gonna
there.
do.
Yeah.
There's
But-
nothing there right now. It's right off of Buck Road and the bypass. You go down, South Sycamore towards the bypass.
Right.
I think it is South Sycamore, isn't it?
No, I'll find it. It's just,
Well, it's a sneaky little road. I mean. it's
Yeah,
not-
and then you have to cross traffic.
You have
like,
to know that you're getting there.
Yeah,
It's sneaky.
it is. There's a sign for the church, I think, there, and
Yeah.
just be by that
Wait,
sign.
I'm just gonna try to find it
It's
tomorrow.
532. It's off of 532.
So for 532 and you go on to Buck Road from 532?
Well, Buck is 532, isn't it?
I mean, Buck is 532. Okay.
Yeah.
And then it's a little.
It's just past Newtown
Then you-
Crossing sign, and then you're
Okay.
going on 532, but you can't make a left.
You can't make a
into it.
left, you're right.
No, but
Can you
that's
see
where it
this
is.
map here?
That's where it
Okay.
is.
I think you're going, let's see, where are we on this map? This is the site.
You go,
So this is the bypass over here, right?
Right.
And I think that's the bypass, right?
Let's
Yeah.
see.
And this would be where, this is Buck Road over here, right?
Oh,
Right.
yes, you're gonna make of 2 rights to get in.
You have to go in here,
So there's a little road that goes into that site,
right?
Yeah,
along-
it's
right
very
along
little.
here.
Right now, it's very little.
and it's right there. So is it the first right as you're coming?
Yes, right away.
Yes,
Okay.
first right as you come off the bypass.
Yeah,
Right over here.
almost immediately, yeah.
Okay. All right.
And you have to watch out. I don't know how traffic runs, but people make this turn very quickly
Okay.
over here.
Yeah.
And if you're
All right.
crossing over, you know,
Oh, don't cross over.
No, you'd be on that side if you're coming
Yeah, you
off
have
the
to be on that
bypass.
side.
You'd be on, you
have
make
to
a
be.
right.
oh,
off
that's
the
right.
bypass,
That's right.
You
You
have
be-
to.
a right
yeah.
into the site.
You'd be fine.
Okay. All righty. Thanks. I see.
There's nothing much to see there. And let,
I
Good
just
luck.
want to see, because you're saying about making a
Yeah.
U-turn. I think that was off. That's crazy.
Yes, I agree.
the
But, yeah.
U-turn would be over here.
The
Right.
U-turn is at the Newtown Crossing entrance.
Right.
Newtown Crossing.
This is Mill Pond Road over
Terrible.
here.
Terrible.
Okay.
And
Good luck, Elaine.
people, when they
Good
get
luck.
out,
I'll report back.
Yeah, just don't make a left turn into it. Just do right.
Just do a
those,
right off of Buck Road into it.
Yes.
All righty. I'll
Right
try.
now,
I just
the-
want to learn where this all is. And the Wawa is from there would be up. You do have a picture of that as well, off of near the highway?
yeah, it'd be somewhere like over here.
You
I
can do it,
have a-
Elaine. If you drive to New York, you can do anything.
Oh, listen, I could do anything. This is nothing for me.
Newtown Richmond Road, Newtown Yardley Road.
I'll find it. I'll go on my
That
bicycle. I'll
goes
find it. Then I
past
can do anything.
Where does it go past the, used to be Joey G's? No? You don't know where Joey, there's the gym, the other gym, not the Knack?
It's up further. Okay.
Yeah. And
Okay, I'll find it.
Oh,
the church is on the corner there.
The church is on the corner. Okay. All
It's
right.
opposite from the church,
All righty.
basically.
okay.
All right. I gotta learn Newtown. I have to do this, but I said I may do it on my bicycle, so.
Wait a minute, Elaine, how long have you been in Newtown?
Well, I've actually just bought a year ago, a little more than a year ago. I was renting. But
Oh, okay.
so I was just renting for a short time so it's probably a year and a half, but I was working in New Jersey still, so I barely knew anything in Newtown. So
Yeah, you're
I mean,
always
you
driving.
I'm always driving in the wrong direction or I'm driving south. So there's nothing between New York City, Newtown, and then you're all in Washington, and then you're on your way to South Carolina. So I really have to learn. So I'll try.
Elaine has relatives in Queens.
Yeah, Queens, Brooklyn, Queens, Brooklyn, New York City. That's and actually
Howard Beach.
Howard Beach.
Yeah.
You're talking
Brother lives
about,
in Astoria.
that's where all the police, used to come.
Oh my God, yes, Howard Beach. That's where Gotti used to live. He was my neighbor.
Yeah, also, the mob. had
the
headquarters
mob.
there.
Yeah, Gotti used to watch me as the men used to watch me as I run to always make sure I was okay. So I can do anything. If I could do all this, no problem.
All right, guys.
It was a
Right,
good
thank
meeting,
you.
John. Very informative.
Thank you.
Okay, if you have any
Thank you, John.
questions, I think you know where to find me. Thanks for attending and hope to
Thanks.
see you in person soon.
Thank you, John.
Take
Thanks for
care.
your time.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
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 Bye.